Welcome, everyone. Wow, that is loud. To our board meeting. Our first item is our Pledge of Allegiance, so if you please all stand and join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance
to the
flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. First item is approval of minutes. Can I have a motion, please? Moved by Adrian, second by Lynn. Anybody have any additions, deletions, or questions on the minutes? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It is carried. Next item on our agenda is public forum. We have two public forums during our meetings. The first one is now, the second one is at the end of the meeting, where we will answer questions that have been given to us virtually. So I will read a statement prior to public forum. Public forum is an opportunity for the public to make statements to the Board of Education. Statements are not made to other members of the public. The board does not routinely comment on personnel issues in public. It is the board's strong recommendation that any criticisms or compliments concerning personnel be made in writing and not presented at the open forum. Comments made in writing allow the board to review the comments in detail and to ask the superintendent to review the comments and take action if necessary. So anyone in the public like to speak to the board? Seeing none, we will move along. Next item on our agenda is our consent agenda. Need a motion, please. Moved by Ed, second by Sue. Anybody have anything they want to remove from the consent agenda or have questions about anything on the consent agenda? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It is carried. Next item on our agenda is approval of our certified personnel. Dr. Fox.
Whereas additional E&L minutes are required in the Highview Elementary School, now therefore be it resolved that Stephen Valley is authorized to teach additional minutes every day, effective 11/2/20 through 6/25/21.
Motion, please. Motion by Sue, second by Christine. Anybody have any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion is carried.
Resolved that Agatha Fidalgo be appointed to the position Teaching Assistant in the Nanuet School District for a probationary appointment in the Teaching Assistant tenure area, effective 10/26/20 to 10/26/24.
Motion, please. Moved by Lynn, second by Adrian. Anybody have any questions on this? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion is carried.
Resolved that Gina Gregory be appointed to the position Teaching Assistant in the Nanuet School District for a probationary appointment in the Teaching Assistant tenure area, effective 11/2/20 to 11/2/24.
I'll move it.
Moved by Ed, second by Christine. Anybody have any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried.
Resolved that Eileen Shanley be appointed to the position Teaching Assistant in the Nanuet School District for a probationary appointment in the Teaching Assistant tenure area, effective 11/9/20.
Motion, please.
I'll move it.
Moved by Adrian, second by Christine. Anyone have any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion is carried.
Resolved that Anna Carey be appointed to the position Regular Substitute 1.0 English Teacher in the Nanuet School District, effective 12/1/20 to 6/25/21.
Motion, please.
I'll move it.
Moved by Ed, second by Lynn. Questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It is carried.
Resolved that Heather Grimes, English teacher in the Nanuet School District, be granted an extended leave of absence effective 12/1/20 to 6/25/21.
Motion, please. Moved by Sue, seconded by Christine. Anybody have any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion is carried. Thank you, Dr. Fox. Next is our approval of calibration training of all of our administrators.
Sure, so whereas Section 3020D and its enacting regulations require certification of administrators for conducting observations of teachers and principal under that statute, now therefore be it resolved that Nancy Bonner, Ann Chen, Mary Ellen Griffin, Roger Guccione, Catherine Leahy, Michael Mahoney, Lily DeGraw, Judith Heaney, Christopher Palizzi, and Meredith Fox have received training as evaluators under Education Law 3020D and are hereby certified to conduct such evaluations.
Motion, please. Moved by Sue, second by Christine. Anybody have any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It is carried. Next item on our agenda is a budget transfer. Mr. Spagnola.
Be it resolved that the Nanuet Board of Education approves the attached authorization for budget transfer dated November 2nd, 2020 in the amount of $186,601 for the general fund.
Motion, please. Lynn, Ed, second by Ed. Anybody have any questions on the transfers? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion is carried. Next item is our superintendent's report. Dr. McCahill.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Byrne. A lot of great things to report about since our last board meeting. I'll start with some updates from Principal Mike Mahoney from our high school. 33 Nanuet senior high school students earned the 2020 Rockland County College Hispanic Heritage Award, which honors Rockland County students of Hispanic descent for outstanding academic accomplishments. The honors are awarded to students in grades 10 and 12 in two categories: academic achievement, academic average over 90 but less than 95, and academic excellence, academic average of 95 or higher. Congratulations to all of those students. From our bar school, Principal Roger Guccione, kudos to our 7th grade teachers for implementing problem-solving, dance, social, and emotional team-building activities for all of our virtual and in-person students with a Halloween theme. The students were extremely excited about participating and had a lot of fun while learning valuable lessons. From our academy school, Principal Ann Chen, our 5th grade science classes had Suez visit in a Zoom this week. The students participated in an H2O Olympics program, which made connections to prior knowledge on the properties of water, as well as introduced them into their next unit on volume. Conservation of water was also emphasized, and then as a little joke to all of you 5, 6 parents, don't be surprised if your kiddos tell you to take a shorter shower going forward. Our Highview principal, Principal Bonner, sharing that Highview teachers successfully administered the AimsWeb Plus reading and math assessments to our in-person students in the hybrid learning model last week. We have also scheduled our fully virtual students for this coming Wednesday. Our Highview Knights are working hard, and we are very proud of them. From Principal Griffin down in our Miller School, all Miller students are back 4 days in person learning beginning today. Teachers ready their learning locations to make them welcoming and innovative for our new students. They created schedules for instruction to be able to share their time between their assigned learning locations. Students and staff are happy to see all their students in school. And last but not least, from our pre-K program, from Roseanne Mercado, our pre-K children had a great time celebrating Halloween. The children participated in several games, such as Ghost Toss and Flying Bats. They also enjoyed watching the erupting pumpkin volcano. The children read Spookly, the Square Pumpkin. They learned how everyone is different and special in their own way. And that's all I have. So
Great, thank you very much. Does anyone from the board have any unfinished business that they'd like to bring up? Okay, we go on to new business, Rockland County School Boards. Ms. Camilleri?
There is nothing new to report today.
Okay. Next is NYSBA and NSBA. I've been busy the last 2 weeks. Last week, I attended the pre-law conference, which New York State School Board did for 2 mornings, from 8:30 to 12:30 on 2 days. It was extremely informative. And it was all hot topics, a lot of stuff on what's going on with COVID, a lot of stuff that's going on with testing. I felt it extremely informative. They will be publishing all of their documents from that within the next week or two. So as soon as I get it all, I will make sure it's dispersed to everyone so you can at least read the background information. Mr. Spagnuolo, as our attorney, you will be really pleased to see some of the discussions that went in there on all varieties of topics, but it was very well done. One of the best, and I've been going to them forever, but one of the best conferences I've been at. I also spent a half day last week on, well, 2 weeks ago at this point, on communication. They had an 8:30 to 12:30 communication, and a lot of it was on communicating with parents and with staff during this COVID times and what that should look like and what kinds of messages should be given out, et cetera, et cetera. Also extremely good. So when I get that information, I will make sure I pass it on as well. This past week, I spent Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Saturday at conference, virtually. So I'm just going to give you just big picture headlines rather than go into some of it. I will get you the information so you can all read it at your leisure. But one of the premier people on the first day of conference was people called the Three Doctors. And they took three gentlemen, minority gentlemen, who came from very, very poor, very disruptive backgrounds, and how the three of them made it, and all three of them are doctors. And they each told their own story, and they were extremely motivational and very inspirational. So it was a great way to start conference. You can probably look them up, go under Three Doctors, and you can look and listen to their stories. It was just uplifting. You just felt good after listening to them. Then I went to a workshop on goal setting, and it was very much, one thing I was disappointed with the whole conference was there wasn't a lot of choices to pick. So at some points I was looking and saying, I really don't want to go to any of these, so I would take the one that would maybe. So goal setting is somebody who wants to start off brand new with strategic planning, which we had done a couple of years back, go out to the communities, have the community give their input, have staff give their input, have parents give their input, et cetera, and how to do that and how to get everybody involved in this conversation called goal setting. Then I went on, and I thought this one was an interesting one. It was called Employee Descriptive for Off-School Conduct, which gave lots of instances of things that happened for other schools out off campus and how that affected the school. That was also interesting. There was one I went to called Reaching Equity Through Practitioner Belief Systems. And that one was good. I mean, I didn't expect it to be good. I thought, but it was really the whole culture and the whole, ethics of how we behave towards each other, with our children in school and out of school. So it was a very thoughtful discussion. That was Tuesday. Wednesday, SED gave a presentation. I didn't learn anything new, but it was the normal SED, whatever. I did go to one on employee and student mental health, especially in this time of COVID. So lots of conversations with mental health professionals on just that, on student and employee mental health. I went for another one on model for equity, for opportunities and outcomes. There was a strand on equity across all 3 days. This one was also good because it really put your mind into opportunities and outcomes in equity. I went to one on boards and superintendents working together towards a culture of excellence, because there was nothing else in that slot that I wanted to go to. I figured maybe I'd learn something on this, but I don't want to compliment us, but I think we have a very strong board superintendent relationship and for a culture of excellence, so I really didn't learn a lot on that one. And then Thursday, they had My Brother's Keeper. We had seen that at Rockland County School Board. We had a young gentleman come from NIAC, because NIAC's very involved in My Brother's Keeper, to present. This one was exceptionally well done as well. I did go to the school data privacy and security, and if Ursula Carbone is in the audience, she should know that we do everything that we're supposed to be doing and more to make sure that our student privacy is protected. So I wanted to thank you, Ursula. I did go to another one called Culturally Responsive Curriculum Programs. And that one was different because it was things I didn't think about. So when I get the information, I will make sure that everybody gets that. And then I went to two others. One was called Policy Roundup and Hot Topics. And they said we should absolutely start somewhere at looking at policy and just make sure we just get through it, especially for board members who are brand new, who haven't really been through a policy book, to take a look at what our policies look like and why do they look that way. And then I went to a state aid one, which was quite interesting considering, that we're probably going to get a 20% cut from the governor on our aid for this year, which doesn't bode well for us. And last time we met, we were hoping for that Tuesday night that there would be a federal stimulus dollars coming down, but that did not happen. And whether that happens or not, who knows? It very well may not. And then last but not least, we had our voting delegates on Saturday, which was supposed to go from 8:30 to 10:30, and it lasted 8:30 to 12:30. But we talked last time about all of the resolutions that were on here, and we had our input about how you felt about each one of them. Everything that we agreed on was passed. All of the non-recommended ones was not passed. I found it very hard to do this remotely because sometimes the voting would come up before they had the discussion and you'd be voting before. So I found it, I wasn't thrilled by it, but I stuck with it for the 4 hours because it was important to do. But two good things happened. Peggy Zugaby was reelected as our Area 10 director, and she was also reelected to her first vice presidency. So next year, Peggy will step in to become president of the New York State School Board Association, which is wonderful for her. She's a school board member both on Rockland BOCES, and she's a school board member in North Rockland. So kudos to Peggy Zugaby for attaining that. So needless to say, the last 2 weeks have been extremely busy, but a good busy. So once I get all of the information from the New York State School Boards, I will disseminate it out, and so everybody will have an opportunity to read some of the things. And I'll highlight what I think are the ones that you really look at. Definitely the law conference, for sure, the law conference. Okay. As far as what's happening on the national level, vote. I mean, I was thinking about this. My mother was an immigrant and from Ireland. And I can remember when I was really small, she used to take us into the voting booth with her. And, we would get, from the time I was really little, I can remember getting the lecture that this was something that was really important. And for her, it was sacred. This vote was sacred. And you had to make sure that you went out and you voted, because this was a sacred right. This was a sacred opportunity that elsewhere in the world does not have what we have. And I remember when my first child went off to college, first thing Nana said was, make sure you have your absentee ballot. So my kids knew from the time they were little that this was something really sacred. So tomorrow is the day that we exercise our rights. So please, everyone out there, please vote. It's a sacred right. And my mother is watching you. Okay, anyone on local government? Okay. Second public forum, we have a couple of questions from our virtual folks.
Yes. Okay, so we had a few questions that folks wrote in. I can address three of them by talking about two areas of our schedule. So the first question was about bringing more children in to our other schools, similar to what we did in our G.W. Miller School. And we just want to be really transparent with the community that the only reason that we were able to bring in all of the student body at the G.W. Miller School is literally because the square footage allowed for so. It allowed for us to bring in children. It's a very large school. The footprint of the school is very large. There's a lot of extra learning space there. For those of you that have been in the district quite a while, you remember the days where it housed 4 grade levels plus a pre-K program. So it is a very large school, so we were able to utilize other learning space areas in the GW Miller campus to bring back the A cohort and the B cohort. The other important aspect of that phase 2 is that we also had the staff. We have teaching assistants and other staff members at GW Miller that we were able to pair off and create an A and a B program that are happening separately in the school within the school day. So it's a very unique opportunity, and so we took advantage of that opportunity by sitting with Principal Griffin, sitting with Principal Leahy, and their leadership and their creativity and their staff, putting all of our heads together and figuring out how and if we can do this. And so after today, it has not been easy for transportation. It has not been easy, with parent drop-offs, but nevertheless, we are moving forward. But we were only able to do that in GW Miller because of those two really important boxes had to be checked. There needed to be ample square footage so that we can keep our students socially distanced, which is one of our most primary ways of mitigating the spread of COVID-19, is wearing our masks and keeping our children and our staff distanced when possible. So we were able to do that. Unfortunately, for our other schools, from Highview to the Academy of Excellence, to the Bar School, up to the high school, in our analysis of square footage and staffing, we do not have enough square footage nor enough staff to bring all of the students back and all the rest of the district and sort of create two separate schools of an A and B that coexist under the same roof. We were not able to do that. So I know there were some questions here about, when is this school going to 4 days? In order for us to maintain the approach that we presented on our reopening plan, which was that we will run an A cohort and a B cohort cut alphabetically through the center of the alphabet so that our students can stay socially distanced and apart, so our teachers can manage our students on campus in a safe manner. We believe that that is a really, really important health and safety approach to running our live in-person school district this year. So in order to maintain that A and B cohort model, we do have to continue to run our schedule as the Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. We know that it's not easy for families. We know that 5 days of full in-person learning prior to a pandemic is the best way that we can meet our learners and our families where they need us to meet them. But unfortunately, not unique to Nanuet, we are all working as hard as we've ever worked in our lives to put something together that we know is not as good as what it was prior to this pandemic. It's a very frustrating endeavor for our families. We feel it in your emails. We feel it in when you write. We feel it in your phone calls. We see it every day with our teachers. They're working so hard to get someplace that they feel like they can do more. They wish they could do more. But the fact of the matter is we are in a pandemic. It is very real. Another aspect to our schedule that we would have liked to, by this point in the fall, November, we would have liked to have said, these cases are not happening. They're not happening in our school. They're not happening in our community. Perhaps there is an opportunity to start pushing the dial a little bit, bringing people closer together. Perhaps the Department of Health, the CDC, would start lightening the regulations. Unfortunately, the opposite is happening. We are here in Nanuet seeing a new case almost every 48 to 72 hours. We have a new case in the community. That means our school community. I would say 100% of them so far from our contact tracing have come from the outside into our schools. They are not spreading in our schools as far as we know based on the contact tracing abilities that we have, which is, again, another signal that what we're doing in our schools by staying separate, by cohorting our schools K-12, or I'm sorry, 3-12, what we're doing is keeping our students and our staff safe by not seeing spread. So that I know that that's frustrating for some of our community members, but unfortunately, the situation around us with the new cases, the frequency of cases that are hitting the Nanuet School District, as well as every other school district in the Lower Hudson Valley, is faced with this same challenge on a weekly basis. It is not a time for us to start scaling up and bringing more and more kids into the buildings. It's not the right thing to do for health and safety reasons at this point. The other questions that were written in asked questions about Wednesday. Yes, we are aware that there are all different other iterations of schedules in this hybrid format. There are school districts that have a very similar, not the same, because we did a very, very deep dive into the entire Hudson Valley as well as Bergen County when we chose to do our AABB Wednesday all virtual. What we chose, Nanuet, was the full day of instruction when your kiddos are here on campus. They come in on a traditional time in the morning, and they have lunch with us, and then they leave at the traditional time at the end of the day. The only school districts that are alternating the A and the B cohort on Wednesday are school districts that dismiss at lunchtime. And that is where they are baking into their schedule professional development time, office hour time, time for teachers to maintain their virtual platform at the end of every day. Those teachers in those school districts that have that format have the same thing that we have on Wednesday, except they stretch the 2 hours at the end of each of the 5 days a week over the week. We chose through really conscientious decisions, knowing that our families work, that dropping children off, third graders off at 12:30 in the afternoon on a bus run would not meet the needs of our community. And so full days of instruction was one of our values. How we gain that time so that our staff can work on their digital platform and make sure that it's rigorous, make sure that it's valid, make sure that they have time to do screencasting, that they have time to make comments on students' work that they hand in on the virtual platform. There needs to be time for professional educators to have that space to do it. And the time that we used to have in a traditional schedule, where they would work with kids during lunch, work with kids before school, work with kids after school, it's prohibited. We don't allow children to be on campus because of contact tracing during any of the other times outside of instruction. So Wednesday is an essential part of our platform, and it cannot go away. There's more that goes on that day that's instrumental to the success of Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday than most people understand. Those of you in our community that are educators, you know that good teaching happens off stage first. That's where the preparation goes in. That's where the professional development goes in. And then the magic happens in front of the kids, but the hard work really happens off stage and even after the lesson, when we reflect on the lesson and we adjust our practice. So we need to maintain a Wednesday. It has to be part of our program in order for us to maintain a strong and rigorous hybrid program. The other reason why we're really insistent on having this Wednesday is because what you're seeing. You're all starting to experience my emails that say, just for example, the Academy School will be on virtual for the remainder of this week. This is what's happening in the county. It's happening in Nanuet. We are, because of COVID cases impacting our staff, who are all being quarantined. Most of the time, they don't want to be quarantined. They have to quarantine based on the Department of Health regulations. So they're now at home working in the online platform, Zooming into classrooms. We need the online platform to be just as strong as the in-person practice. So when and if an entire school has to go virtual, like the Academy will do tomorrow, we're prepared. Like the high school was last Friday when we had to dismiss the students early, they were able to go home, have lunch at home, and then jump right back onto the online platform. And the feedback we received from the students was that it was seamless. We literally went from in the morning being in the classrooms, bus ride home, an hour transition time, and then by 1:30 back in our online classrooms. The only reason why those online classrooms work is because Wednesday is the time the teachers develop them, lesson plan them, pace them, and keep them rigorous and valid. So I wanted to put some time into that because thank you to those who sent in these 3 questions today, but I'm really speaking to more than just those 3 folks because we receive these emails quite often. Our principals are here shaking their heads. They receive emails a lot from the community about, why not Wednesday or why not more kids in the classroom. It's not, we understand your pain, we understand the frustration. We are frustrated as well, but from a health and safety perspective, we have to stay really honest with why we're able to stay open, why we're able to keep things from spreading in our school community, and the balance that we struck right now seems to be a good balance. So we're going to continue pushing forward with it. Hopefully the cases subside around us, and then we can revisit some opportunities. But for right now, we're going to continue with our A-B cohort with Wednesday as virtual. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. McHale. Now I'll ask for a motion to adjourn, please. Moved by Sue.
I'll second.
Second by Adrian. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you, everyone. See you in 2 weeks.